Hello and welcome. I am Lian Buan, and we are here with Paulina Masida, one of the common legal representatives for victims in Prosecutor versus Rodrigo Roa Duterte. Paulina, thank you for the time you have given us.
Thank you.
You must know at this point that the former president is extremely popular, and you have been dragged to some backlash back home from his supporters. Before coming to the court, I've just seen one saying you've been paid off to do this.
The best response is to look at the process of justice, how evidence are presented, and how the judges will look at the evidence. The court, the International Criminal Court, is known to be into the fair process. And if you look at the evidence, you will probably see to trial.
For course, is that part of the territory to receive that much?
On the defendant, of course, and Mr. Duterte is certainly a person who is well known. He has a lot of support.
Did you choose this case, Paulina, or did you get assigned this case? How did you end up being on this case?
I was assigned to this case. The Office of Public Counsel for Victims is an independent office within the court composed of lawyers. And we have been involved in the situation of the Philippines since now quite a number of years, because we were also appointed for familiar with the case. We started having some conversation with victims in Philippines and abroad. So we were familiar about no common legal representative was already appointed. So the chamber, the pre-trial chamber decided to appoint counsel from the office, and from there we gained teams. And then when the chamber decided to compose a team of 3 lawyers, we were in case, but also knowledge, because we were also in contact with some of the victims, and this is the way in which the team has been composed.
As you said, you have been working on this for a course of several years. What makes this case different from the other cases you've handled?
I think one thing that it's important to underline is the extent of a victimization, and also the way in which crimes were allegedly, I have to use allegedly, how these crimes were allegedly committed. One thing that also I found peculiar was the fact that the majority of these crimes were actually committed at home, in a place you should consider a safe place, no? And then in the streets, in the neighborhoods where everybody could have seen. So the extent, I would say, really, of the victimization was very important. And also the fact that it Actually was against regular people, people doing a regular job, living in a family, being happy with their children, and interrupting in such a violent way. So this, I think, of the killings, it's also quite important.
There are a lot more victims of killings that happen. So targets who were killed by vigilantes and not by policemen, and some of them worry that they might not be able to be recognized by the court since they're not explicitly in the charges and it happened after the withdrawal. Could they still be admitted as a participating victim?
It will depend on what the judges will confirm. So before the court, what matters is the charge confirmed. Time of murder and attempted murder during that specific period of time, then only the victims who will have suffered this type of crimes will be able to manifest themselves and participate in the case. Give you an example. If we have a victim who simply is indicating that he or she was tortured, but there was no an attempt of murder, for instance, then at that point in time, that victims will not be able to be a participating victim. So it will depend on the confirmation of charges. After the confirmation of charges, victims will be able to present themselves to the court, application forms, and become participating victims. As you have probably noticed, there is at the moment only 539 victims are authorized to participate. But we believe also with the other lawyers representing victims that the court has given a signal to the victims that they can come forward and they can believe in justice. So we really hope that after the confirmation, we remain confident, of course, in the confirmation of the charges, victims will be able to manifest themselves and to participate in more numbers.
So would it matter if it happened after 2019? If this case is exactly what the pattern, for example, in count 3, but it happened after 2019, would still be?
No, because the temporal scope of the case is until 2019. As I agree, of what happened before VICC. They suffer from, we do normally as lawyers, and what we tried also to do during the confirmation of charges is to explain to the judges that actually the extent of a victimization is much more broad than what has been presented by the prosecution. So to some extent, the victimization can somehow be presented before the judges, but unfortunately, these victims will not be able to participate in the proceedings because there is a clear end of a temporal jurisdiction.
Is there an ICC mechanism, like for example, the trust fund for victims, that these cases who are not really included in the temporal jurisdiction could still benefit?
Well, the Trust Fund for Victims is an independent entity at the court, and they have essentially two mandates. One mandate is to implement reparations order if ever we arrive at the conviction, because only if an accused person is convicted, we can then trigger the reparation proceedings. But the Trust Fund has another very important mandate, which is the possibility to open assistance programs in situation countries. Now, these assistance programs normally are based on on three pillars: the psychological aspect, the medical aspect, and the socioeconomical aspect. And normally programs which cover a huge community of victims, sorry, not only the ones who may be participating, because it refers not to the victims of a case who has to show a causal link between the prejudice they suffer and the crimes charged, but it refers to be touched by assistance programs is much broad than the one which is actually concerned by the case.
When could that second mandate kick in a case like this?
But this can be at any time. I'm not in the best position of telling that. The trust fund is governed by a board of directors, and they normally indicate year by year which are the priorities. So I cannot be more precise about that, unfortunately.
It's okay. Paulina, over the course of my reporting the story, I've spoken with several families who are either have relocated, in hiding, and doesn't want to have anything to do with any case. And sometimes they ask me, why bother? What would I get out of speaking out? Having reached this point, what would you like to
of engaging with the process? Just this is, of course, an individual choice. I can teach, I don't trust. I but even it's important to know that, because then victims will be able to choose from themselves if they want or they don't want to engage in the process. And it's true, there is a lot of fear from the victim still, which is absolutely understandable. But what I hope is that of trust in the court and could encourage victims to come forward.
What about those who would say, well, Paulina, what if we lose? What could be the repercussion of that on our lives?
But in a process, you can never be sure 100% if you are gonna win or not. This is the game. You know? There is the prosecution supporting a theory, the defense counter-arguing, the victims presenting more on what happened to them and their victimization. I would say remain confident. We have seen in the record of a case elements that could justify a trial. And if we arrive at trial, we will see more evidence, which could eventually lead to a
You just look at the world, everywhere we look, we need new steel.
The scale of the operations for the Robe River joint venture is significant. About 70 million tons a year.
Mining demands long-term vision and draws on teamwork built over many, many years.
The foundation of Mitsui's investment continues to provide support for the world's demand for steel, and with it, the need for iron ore.
Brown sugar. Coffee ko brown.
Yeah, but I had a very specific question from that gentleman, right?
But the president said that.
Hold on 1 second. I asked a very
forced Israelis.
Okay.
Coffee ko brown. Sarap pampaap. Saktong timpla na may sarap pampaap. Game na!
Stories from across the world. I'm Joshua Barnes, live from the First Post studios. Let's begin with the headlines. Multiple reported explosions and gunfire ring out days-long clashes along their border, raising fears of a prolonged conflict between the two neighbours. China's top political advisory body votes to remove 3 senior generals, escalating a widening military purge. This just days before the annual 2 sessions political meetings in Beijing. Paris could deploy troops for the first time. Former US President Bill Clinton tells a congressional committee under oath that he had no knowledge of Jeffrey Epstein's sex crimes and adds that Donald Trump never indicated involvement either. And the United States imposes sanctions on Rwanda's military, accusing it of violating a peace deal in the Democratic Republic of Congo amid renewed. The war that began with US-Israeli strikes on Iran over the weekend is now echoing far beyond Iranian borders. Overnight, day 4's first major blast outside the immediate. 2 drones struck the US embassy in Riyadh inside the heavily. Guarded diplomatic quarter. Smoke rose, a small fire broke out, and streets that are usually busy with diplomats fell nearly silent. The US Embassy in Saudi Arabia has told Americans to avoid the embassy until further notice. Saudi Arabia's defense ministry said 8 additional drones were intercepted near Riyadh and Al-Kaj, and that was just the beginning. Israel says it intercepted a large wave of missiles launched from Iran just after midnight. Defense's systems lit up over the skies across Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa. Flares streaked upward from the West Bank city of Hebron as air rain continuously to neutralize incoming threats. As Iran's retaliation widens, explosions have been reported across the Gulf. In Qatar, loud booms shook Doha before dawn. The Qatari military says it intercepted ballistic missiles in the early hours. Videos from the skyline show objects falling from the sky, mid-air interceptions lighting up the darkness. Doha has formally condemned the Iranian strikes and told the United Nations it reserves the right to respond. Then, in Bahrain, home to the US Navy's Fifth Fleet, authorities say dozens of Iranian missiles and attack drones were into Emirates. Australia confirmed its military headquarters at Al Minhad Air Base, just south of Dubai, was hit over the weekend. The strike underlines how military facilities linked to Western allies are now firmly in Tehran's crosshairs. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has outlined Washington campaigning Tehran's missile infrastructure, dismantling its naval strength, and eliminating any pathway to a nuclear weapon.
Sinister. Our objectives are clear. First, we're destroying Iran's missile capabilities, and you see that happening on an hourly basis, and their capacity to produce brand new ones, and pretty good ones they make. Second, we're annihilating their navy. We've knocked out already 10 ships. The world's #1 sponsor of terror can never obtain a nuclear weapon, never going to have a nuclear weapon. I said that.
And US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has suggested that the objective of this ongoing Israeli-American offensive may not be regime change in Tehran.
We would not mind, we would not be heartbroken, and we hope that the Iranian people can overthrow this government and establish a new future for that country. We would love for that to be possible. But the objective of this mission is the destruction of their ballistic missile capabilities and of their naval capabilities.
And then there is the energy front. And any ship navigating the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for global oil and gas shipments, and to attack pipelines to stop exports entirely. So, what began as US-Israeli strikes on Iranian soil has now triggered retaliatory attacks stretching from Riyadh to Doha and from Manama to Dubai. Embassies are on alert. Military bases are under fire. Oil routes are threatened. And civilians across the Gulf are waking up to the sound of air defenses and silence. This is no longer a contained confrontation, and on its day 4, there are no visible signs of de-escalation. Iran, as no side appears to be backing down. Israel launched a new wave of airstrikes inside Iran, targeting key military assets in and around the capital. Tehran, the Israeli Air Force says, Iran's air defense network. They targeted radar installations, missile launchers, and personnel operating Iran's defense systems. On the ground in Tehran, the impact was immediate. 4 powerful explosions were heard just after midnight. The blast shook residential apartment windows. The UNESCO-listed Golestan Palace in Tehran has also been damaged. Smoke was seen rising from Tehran's historic center, as well as eastern parts of the city. Reports claim that the country's old parliament building was also hit by airstrikes. The Israeli military claimed that it had targeted and dismantled district reports. The US military has struck more than 1,250 targets within the first 48 hours of the operation. United States Central Command, which oversees American military operations across the region, said it destroyed facilities belonging to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. These included command and control centers, air defense systems, missile and drone launch sites, anti-ship systems, and airfields. On Monday, President Trump warned that American military action against Iran could continue for more than a month. Trump also defended the strikes as a necessary security measure.
An Iranian threat to the Middle East, but also to the American people, our country itself.
Donald Trump also outlined 4 main objectives of the so-called American operation: destroying Iran's missile capabilities, weakening its navy, preventing it from developing a nuclear weapon, and curbing its support for regional militant groups. However, he didn't clarify if regime change is part of the strategy. Iran has responded with strong rhetoric. It has threatened to attack any vessel attempting to pass through the Straits of Hormuz. Iran also warned that oil prices could surge dramatically if it blocks exports. Iran's atomic energy chief has claimed a nuclear facility in Natanz was hit in 2 strikes. Casualty figures are also rising. The Red Crescent Society said at least 700 people have been killed across Iran in joint US-Israeli strikes, with targets hit in 131 towns and cities, as questions grow over how long this conflict could last. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
I hear the people are saying we're going to have an endless war here. I said it could be quick and decisive. It may take some time, but it's not going to take years. It's not an endless war. In fact, it's an effort right now to achieve the peace that we all yearn and pray for. And I think together we'll achieve it.
And US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, however, said the timeline depends entirely on Donald Trump's direction.
As a week, 6 weeks, it could move up, it could move back. We're going to execute. At his command, the objectives we've set out to achieve.
Washington has also been clarifying its position. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio said the primary mission of this operation is targeting Iran's missile and naval capabilities. When asked if diplomatic exchange is underway between Iran and the US, Rubio refused to share any details, but said that the hardest
true. Number one is our mission and our focus to global shipping. That's their objective.
So, as Israeli forces continue their precision strikes across Iran and the United States sharpens its rhetoric, West Asia remains on edge. We will, of course, continue to track all of the latest updates here on First Post. Now, let's talk about Lebanon. Israel struck Hezbollah strongholds across the country. On Tuesday, Israeli jets bombarded Lebanon's capital, Beirut, in a fresh wave of airstrikes. The Israeli military claimed it targeted Hezbollah command centers and weapons storage facilities after thwarting the group's drone attack. Israel's defense minister has given fresh instructions to Israeli troops amid escalating cross-border strikes.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and I have authorized the Israel Defense Forces to advance and take control of additional strategic positions in Lebanon in order to prevent attacks on Israeli border communities.
Hezbollah entered the fray to support its backer Iran after the death of has vowed to avenge the death of the supreme leader. Hezbollah confirmed it launched a barrage of precision missiles and deployed a swarm of drones targeting northern Israel after the conflict broke out on Saturday. This prompted Israel's counter-offensive. The Israeli military intercepted the Hezbollah trajectory. Multiple strikes and explosions were reported in the Lebanese capital, Beirut, as well as the Hia, a known Hezbollah stronghold. In total, the IDF said it struck nearly 70 Hezbollah weapon depots and rocket launching sites. The Israeli military also targeted Hezbollah's financial branches, which were used to store money and manage salaries for its operatives. These sites were allegedly involved in transferring funds from Iran and purchasing weapons. The IDF has eliminated the head of Hezbollah's intelligence headquarters in an overnight strike and targeted a vehicle carrying 2 senior terror operatives of the elite Radwan force in southern Lebanon. Before launching strikes in the dozens, it's got evacuation warnings. Several videos show people fleeing on foot and by car after the Israeli bombardments began. Schools and public shelters in Beirut were reportedly opened after a temporary shutdown to accommodate the exodus of civilians. Hezbollah's chief, Naim Qassem, has vowed to confront Israel and the United States. In Katz said Qassem was now a marked IDF is the next elimination target.
Naim Qassem, chairman of the Hezbollah terrorist organization, will discover that whoever follows Khamenei's path ends up like Khamenei, at the bottom of hell, together with all those from the axis of evil. Under the instruction of the Prime Minister and my directive to the IDF is to act forcefully primary effort in or against Iran.
The Israeli army has further said that the military offensive against Hezbollah would likely last several days, indicating that operations were far from over.
We have launched an offensive campaign against Hezbollah. We are not only defensive of Kni. This requires strong defensive readiness and sustained defensive readiness, operating in continuous waves while constantly utilizing opportunities.
Meanwhile, Lebanon's government termed Hezbollah's military activities illegal acts and asked them to surrender its weapons. Aviv's